Do you collect because you want some kind of fancy, delicate, complicated prize at the end? Or do you live for the thrill of the hunt? Oh sure, you say you love the hunt, but what if I told you the figures you're hunting have no accessories, no articulation, no paint apps, no decorative packaging, and they're so small you can fit like 30 of them all in your pocket all at once? Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of M.U.S.C.L.E. The M.U.S.C.L.E. story begins all the way back in 1978 in Japan with a comic called Kinnikuman. Kinnikuman, which literally translates to Muscle Man, was created by longtime friends Yoshinori Nakai and Takashi Shimada. It followed the story of a simple, oafish superhero named Suguru Kinniku as he discovers he's the long-lost prince of planet Kinniku. It's the planet where the greatest superheroes in the universe come from. Kinnikuman must wrestle his way through a tournament against a bunch of other superheroes to prove the worthiness of his birthright as heir to the throne that he truly is Prince M.U.S.C.L.E. of planet M.U.S.C.L.E. Along the way, he encounters all sorts of colorful characters, crazy wrestlers, and superheroes with outlandish costumes and powers and themes. By 1983, Kinnikuman was so popular that an animated series was produced, and of course, you don't just make a cartoon without trying to move some toys. A series of 2-inch tall Keshi figures were created to take full advantage of the variety of characters that existed in the world of Kinnikuman. The word Keshi comes from the word Keshigomu, which basically translates to eraser gum, even though I wouldn't recommend using them as either an eraser or gum. It's the small, soft rubber or plastic figures that could be purchased out of a vending machine, like tiny football helmets or fake hobo teeth here in the United States. The animated series ran for 137 episodes over a 3-year period, rounding out in 1986, and that's where the story crosses back over the Pacific to the United States and Mattel. Mattel was still stacking dollar bills in their money bin off the strength of Masters of the Universe and was looking for more. They wanted to add to their shelf presence, especially if it was with a product that wouldn't require more than an inspired day's work from their marketing department. Mattel recognized the potential for importing the Kinnikuman figures, but first they needed to make it more consumable by the American audience. It was clear that the cartoon was going to be too violent for the parents of the kids they were targeting, so they weren't going to put the effort into the old cut it up and recast it strategy. That killed the cartoon, and on top of that, they weren't going to try to translate thousands of pages of comic books. I mean, who's got the time? Instead, they decided to ditch any previously established context of characters, planets, space adventures, names, and they were just going to sell the idea of collecting. All of it. They thought, there's so many of these things here. Just make sure the kids want them, and want them all. And so was born M.U.S.C.L.E, millions of unusually small creatures lurking everywhere. The story was in the title. You don't need anything else. Mattel put together a brilliant marketing campaign that positioned M.U.S.C.L.E figures as a 1/1 scale horde of tiny pink weirdos invading the country. Their words, not mine. Taking a cue from the blockbuster hit Garbage Pail Kids and mixing in a dash of the hugely popular World Wrestling Federation, advertising positioned them as just that, tiny, ugly, weirdo wrestling creatures invading America purely to drive parents nuts. And only you, the collector, could save the world by collecting as many as possible. It was Pokemon before Pokemon. According to the official M.U.S.C.L.E checklist poster, there were 233 figures in all. Modern resources like Wikipedia and musclefigures.com put that number at 236. The point is, there were hundreds of different I don't know whats. And that was it. They blister-packed 4 random figures. They issued 10 packs in transparent garbage cans, straight up stealing Garbage Pail Kids' shtick. They released 28-pack themed sets that were roughly good guy and bad guy, but none of that mattered. Only 2 characters were ever given official names in the US version. The main character, the main good guy, the guy jumping off the top rope on the packaging, was Muscle Man, and the main bad guy, the guy with the horns, was Terry Bull. Those names don't need any further ridicule than they have already thrust upon themselves. Kids, collectors, just fill in the details yourself. Mattel wasn't going to come up with 233 different names. I mean, who's got the time? The plot was the hunt for the different figures, for all the figures, the unique designs, the team you could put together in your pocket. Everyone knew which ones they had and which ones they needed. What else can you possibly do with them? Mine all get put in a Battle of the Planets lunchbox, and that's it. That's all I do with them. That's the fun of it for me. Putting them in a lunchbox and then continuing to look for the other ones I need. Mattel produced the Hard Knockin' Rockin' Ring Wrestling Arena, which wasn't so much action wrestling as it was clamping the 2 figures in place and then pressing them against each other, kind of like rubbing them against each other, which is, I guess, a kind of wrestling. There was a shiny championship battle and belt / carrying case, the M.U.S.C.L.E Mega Match board game, and the tag team match M.U.S.C.L.E NES game, which I'm being told is not as good as Super Mario Brothers or any other NES game. After the initial 230 plus figures in the first wave, Mattel started reusing molds, cycling in different colors. And you know, when the repaints start hitting the line, it's just about time to check out. And it was. The multicolored plastic gave the line a brief boost of recollectability, as the original figures were offered in a total of 9 different colors, but that proved to be too much for the average collector without a second wave of new designs to bolster the ranks. By 1988, M.U.S.C.L.'s time on the shelves had already ended. But the future of M.U.S.C.L.E is now with toy company Super 7. While Super 7 does not own the license to produce any of the original M.U.S.C.L.E or Kinnikuman characters, since they actually belong to Bandai in Japan, they are producing new figures under the name, branding, and pocket-sized spirit of M.U.S.C.L.E. Super 7's first M.U.S.C.L.E figures were produced in cooperation with Mattel as M.O.T.U.S.C.L E, featuring characters from Masters of the Universe back in 2015. Make sure you check out our video on that line. They have since expanded to include characters from Aliens, Street Fighter II, Mega Man, Robotech, and their own creation, The Worst. No doubt there are more to come. And just like M.U.S.C.L.E, you can buy them in blister cards, trash cans, or Battle Royale 24 packs. M.U.S.C.L.E figures stole the spotlight and filled the pockets of collectors in 1986 thanks to a brilliant marketing plan from Mattel. They were one of the 10 best-selling toys of 1986, endearing themselves to an entire generation of collectors, just before the Nintendo Entertainment System forced everyone in the toy industry to reconsider their entire business model. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe, share this video, and let us know in the comments down below if you had any M.U.S.C.L.E figures back in the day, and if so, how many? A handful? A pocketful? A lunchbox full? More? What do you do with them? What do you do with them?
I don't know.
I have some in my pocket, but I don't know what else to do with them.